chill, 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 chill. Nah, the comics guy. Are you upset? Are you perturbed? Does it trigger you that Storm and Wolverine, they went snicked? Are you upset? Does it bother you? Does it bug you? Does it protrude you? I, for one, am looking at this scene of them go from fighting each other slowly to kissing and grabbing and humping and snickting. I'm upset that it's on the screen. This shouldn't be on the screen. This is disgusting. To me, I view Storm and Black Panther as the premier relationship, and anything that is not that is... I think the chastity of the character... I don't even got to finish that sentence because you either agree or disagree when I said the word chastity. However, Marvel has multiple black characters that exist, IPs, brands. We've got Night Thrasher, Marcus. We've got Night Thrasher. We've got Josiah X, Misty Knight, Brother Voodoo, Blade, Miles Morales, Photon, Frenzy, enumerated like every number, like numbers of characters. And then there's Black Panther and there's Storm. And if the Storm comic book did something so bad that it makes you not want to collect Black Panther or Storm specifically, I want you to rethink that. The top characters who are melanated from that continent, either directly from because one of her parents is a Kenyan, the other parent is an American, or are a parent who's from the diaspora. That place, those characters from there, the black ones, they need to be proven to sell. We are at a state in comics, in black comics, where nobody is getting past that second trade paperback. Issue 10 will happen. It'll be collected in the trade, and that'll be that. No more stories. It's not selling enough. We needed like roughly 15,000 units. I've talked about this in the past, but if you're new, usually that's the cancellation point when a comic isn't making the estimated 15,000 units being sold. Physical comics. This doesn't include digital, but we do know digital don't make up majority of the sales. So the United States, the North American market, if 15,000 units aren't selling, I've gone through it. I have charts, and actually I might have it still on my computer. It's on screen right now. This was the final issue of each one of these comic books, throughout time. There's the Blue Marvel comic book. Well, we got to issue number 5. We were supposed to get a 6, but why? We know why we didn't get a 6 because of how low that number is. So here's the chart. You can look at it and analyze it, screenshot it, pause it. But Storm is so important that even though something negative happened, which I don't approve of, we can't go to our shops and say, can't be picking up Storm anymore. Take that off of my pull list. I should explain the pull list thing. Everyone, comic books are purchased and ordered way before they show up at your shop. So that's why you got to put it on your pull list, like your shelf that you pull open, and then it'll say your name, like it'll be like Adam, and you go, oh, this is my comics. They'll put that on your pull, your subscription. Sometimes comic shops have a box. They already ordered issue number 4 because you had it on your pull before this comic even came out. Before all this nonsense that we see here on screen happened, issue number 4 is already on your pull. So you got to pick that one up, or else your comic shop will never have pull lists with you again. They'll say, no, you already told me to buy this comic. That's the only reason it's in my shop right now is because you asked me to order it. So it's too late. You can't. Issue number 5, I would advise you to get your comic shop to continue purchasing the Storm comic book. Too much is at stake for a character with her skin tone to provably not sell. I know we don't like the Wolverine stuff. I hate the Wolverine stuff. Like I said, anything that's not T'Challa. I hated Craig. I hated everyone. But this is a Storm comic, not X-Men Red. It's like the onus is on Storm. The performance is strictly based on Storm. I'm going to say one more thing. I'm going to let my man Sean from Comics Pals, you go ahead and say it.
Here's the issue that I have. This is a quote from Jed McKay. When we were putting together thoughts for X-Men, one problem kept coming up. Storm needed to have a presence in a book befitting her status, but it would be weird for her to be on an X-Men team if she was not the leader. The solution was simple. She needed to be on a global stage amongst equals. And what better place for that than the Avengers? We're excited to bring Storm back to the Avengers and show what adventures she'll get up to as a part of Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Okay, Jed, so here's what I heard. I heard that Storm is too big to be just a member of an X-Men team, and that they had no plans of having her lead any X-Men team, but that she is just fine to be a member of the Avengers. That's what I heard. I heard that the Avengers are a bigger team than the X-Men, and it's okay for her to not be on an X-Men team because she's too big for that, but not too big to just be on the Avengers. Well, shit. If she's too big to just be in the X-Men, then how the fuck come she's not too big to have not an A-list creative team writing her solo book?
Damn.
Riddle me that.
So one, I direct you to that comic book channel, plug, subscribe to them, check them out, and I share his sentiment about how she's too big for the X-Men, but yeah, when it came to putting the writer on, they didn't get Jonathan Hickman, Jason Aaron, Jed McKay. They got... Yeah. So this character was always at a disadvantage. That's what I'm sharing this to say. I'm not insulting Murray Ayodele. I support Murray Ayodele in this comic book and any comic venture he's going to do with Black Panther when he eventually gets to that. I'm there. You got me every issue. I share that to say that the base fandom of this comic book is low. The chance of it getting canceled, or look for signs, like if Lucas Warnick isn't the artist anymore and they get someone who's not Lucas Warnick, no disrespect to the new guy, all love to the new guy, but if they don't get Lucas Warnick anymore, I'm going to look at the signs and I'm going to say, it looks like the money that this comic was grossing just went down where it didn't warrant a top tier artist anymore who Lucas Warnick is, and they're going to defund it. Then we'll get to issue number 10, and they'll probably decide, the pre-orders for this comic are low. It's a downward trajectory. We're not sustaining the audience. We will cancel this comic. We'll put Storm on a team finally. That's what they'll say. I don't want to get there, and I don't want the long-term effects of what that means. The last time we had an ongoing Storm was 10 years ago. It might take another 10 years to get another ongoing Storm. The stakes are too high. The cancellation is not an option, but it's a reality, and I feel like I'm the only guy who's treating it like it's a doomed, like it's inevitable. There's the chart. Like I've looked through the numbers over and over again. I saw what happened with Blade and Brian Edward Hill. I'm looking at every comic book not reaching that third trade paperback, with the exception of Ultimate Black Panther. And of course, there's other reasons why. Like same with Miles Morales. He's got the Ultimate Universe from Brian Michael Bendis audience. He's got the movie audience of the Spider-Verse thing. There's the closeness to matching Spider-Man. And a lot of you guys don't value yourselves and love that Miles calls himself Spider-Man instead of having his own unique name and identifier. But enough people go, oh, that's Spider-Man. Same with Falcon. Oh, it's Captain America now. Got to support it now. Now that he's not Falcon anymore. I view Falcon as lesser than, but assimilating to the white man is better. A lot of you guys. But Ultimate Black Panther, there's the Ultimate Universe and that kind of new thing. There's only 4 titles happening in the Ultimate line. You can get somebody who isn't this audience, the people who are holding these books up or trying to. You get more than just these guys. And you get these guys. You get the guys supporting Static Shock. You get the guys who went to the shop to support Black Lightning. Shout out to Rich, who made me read this book. You get that base, and then, they get more base. With Storm, maybe you get the X-Men base also, who would want to show up and buy a comic book. I get it. I'm monitoring sales data. This comic book has not reached cancellation point. There will be an issue 6 announced for Murray Ayodele, which would mean 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we'll see what happens there. History tells me this comic does get canceled. I'm going to keep buying it. I advise all of you, save your money on the Black History Month February extravaganza. Look who matters all of a sudden. Comic books, don't buy those. If you got the extra spare change, just spend that money on an additional Storm comic. Buy the cover A, buy the cover B. When we start getting to the pre-orders for issues 8, 9, and 10, which is 3 months from now, we'll be there. Tell your shop, hey, I actually want to be picking up 2 issues of Storm. You can vote with your wallet, and you can vote multiple times. If everyone watching this video, if all 100 folk who are going to see this video because of my sensationalized thumbnail, if all of you guys are buying 2 comic books of Storm, that's an additional couple hundred comic books that may be the difference between cancellation and non-cancellation. Because my thumbnail's not going to be that sexy, honestly. It's not going to be that. Remember this thumbnail here? That one got views. I got like 2,000 views on that. You should actually watch that. I'm gonna recommend it here. It gets into the explanation of black characters not selling. Time out. I changed my mind. I'm done for today. I'm just gonna play the whole thing because it's all on my file. I got it saved on my storage. I'm just gonna play the whole thing. Thank you for coming here. Click thumbs up on me. Take it away, Chillmonger, from a few months ago. How few do comics need to sell to warrant a cancellation? If you know the answer to that question, this isn't for you. You're not ignorant. But for those who are listening to me talk about how these characters are bums and not worth money, and how you need to spend your money accordingly and put double into Storm, who's got a chance, this is for you. This is the sales portion, because it feels like some people in my comments, with all due respect, were not thinking about units being sold. This character's issue number 1 sold this well. September of 2006, we get Civil War as the number 1 comic that month, a huge crossover comic book event, no surprises there. And here comes Blade. Issue 1 for $2.99 was a 35,000 units sold comic book. That's the 56th highest seller of that month. That is not cancellation territory. How did issue 2 fare? 27,000. Now it's November and issue number 3 sold 23,000. It's declining. Now, for the ignorant, that's normal. Comic book sales always sell really high in the first. And this was actually pretty low for a number 1 issue. Nowadays, a comic book number 1 would do way well. And things decrease because the comic book shops who are putting their orders 2 months in advance, don't even know what the customers are going to be, are guessing in the dark. They just don't want to under order, so they'll always order more than they expect. And the sales start decreasing. This comic book series, it went, if we just type in Blade, we can see that there was a 98 series, a 2006-7 series, the one that I was looking at and analyzing right now, and it took 16 more years until we got another Blade ongoing comic book series called Blade. Not a mini, not a maxi, just ongoing. I want to ask why. Let's click on Blade. See here, it went for 12 issues. The last issue was in issue number 12, and it was, as they say here, canceled on the cover book. Well, what were the sales? For issue 11, where they didn't cancel it, it made over 15,000. But in August of 2007, issue number 12 couldn't get past 15K. Issue 12 was the cancellation issue. The answer to the question Chillmonger posed is when a comic book sells below 15,000 units being sold, the companies, both of them, decide to cancel. I'll show you DC Static. In September of 2011, after the TV show, Static Shock's comic book pathetically performed with a number 1 issue selling 34,000 units worth. It would be canceled at issue number 8 on the month of April of 2012, only 10,000 units sold. And we never saw him again in DC. And we stopped seeing Blade also in these significant roles until Mahershala Ali on Comic-Con stepped up on the stage, and then the movies decided to trigger events that happened in comic books, and then we started seeing Blade again. Guess who just joined the Avengers after that? This is the way that sales influence the ongoings of the comic books. The level that the characters are going to be at. Their significance, how often they're featured, and where they're featured also. Are they on the Prime X-Men books, or do we put them on the no-name X-Men books with the no-name writer? Sales will lead to top creative teams also on the comic book character. Not any other reason. It's not about, I was at the convention and I saw that guy had a really long line, and for that reason, let's not cancel the comic book. Let's keep it going for another trade paperback. It's not, hey man, I see a lot of positive feedback on Twitter. A lot of tweets. That guy has so many followers. We're going to continue this comic book for that reason. Oh, I saw a fan. He made a t-shirt of that comic book that got canceled. None of these metrics matter. Good word of mouth. None of it. A YouTuber like Comics Explained changes his voice because he's talking about how cool it is. Doesn't matter. The sales matter. And we are in a place where every black... It's one thing for me to say it. It's another thing for me to show you. This is the cancellation point of every character. I showed you Blade. How about Blue Marvel? Why don't we get any more of him? Well, maybe because his 5-issue limited series couldn't cross 10K. Static Shock you saw. We saw Storm with Greg Pak, Flunk, Luke Cage, issue 170 Legacy. Didn't get far. They canceled Falcon at 8. Do you know what it means for Rodney Barnes to be given that title. He's writing the comic book, and they said, ooh, yo, we didn't expect that drop. Well, we're at a point right now where producing this comic book will cost us money. We will be losing money if we put an issue number 9 and 10 out. Rodney, 8 is your final issue, and you're donezo. That's how low this comic sold. According to these comic book estimates coming out of Diamond, there's a reason. You're ignorant, I forget. There's a reason why I'm showing you things before this year. Like, I can't show you the Photon numbers. I can't show you the Black Panther with Dr. Ewing's numbers. I can show you these ones because Lunar, Penguin Random House are in the distribution game. Diamond is not the only guys anymore. So the estimates are going to be way off nowadays. That's the explanation. Let's keep reading some of these on the chart because I want to rewind to Storm. I don't think I adequately spoke on that enough. This is a comic book character who's been known in the X-Men, very much used. And even with the failed series that was ending with the sales amount that it was just at, even with that, they still use Storm in multiple events, crossovers. She's always speaking. It doesn't matter. Storm was a constant. I'm telling you that representation's important. And the best utilization, the best characters who are going to further representation, who are at the top of the black characters, but not the top of characters in itself. These are the candidates to get behind. Storm, because even with that low series, she never stopped. Not like Blade. Storm is worth backing. Buy 2 Storm comic books. Spend your money accordingly. Put back the screen. What I'm picturing is, imagine if the people who bought the Luke Cage comic book, some of them, half of them didn't buy that comic book and instead said, let's just buy 2 Storm comic books in 2014. This doesn't get canceled anymore. This comic book actually gets to continue. I even said this in the video. We have years of patterns of data to analyze to go, you know who only matters over there at that company? Well, maybe that helps you. It's not so much that you shouldn't be supporting the bums. It's just that realizing that they're bums and that their one character, even with a canceled comic book, will continue to still be used. It's better to take that much needed money that you're giving Marvel Comics anyway and direct it into Storm. It only takes a few thousand. And how many views did my video get? Maybe 700 views roughly? If 700 people bought 2 comic books, that may have just been enough. It may just be enough in the future when cancellation is on the question in 2025 of October, when that issue 12 of Storm is out and the comic book company's thinking, do we keep going or not? And they check their sales, how many units did it sell? When they're having that thought, man, it would be awesome if it had an extra 1,400 comic book sales that could change that. Use your money properly, because the way it is now, how it's spread on a land of non-sellers, when it's spread apart, we get nothing. We get cancels. We get cameo appearances, Black History Month comic books. We get useless. We don't get featured at the front of the Marvel previews unless it's Black Panther or Storm. We don't get meaningful interactions, comic book events after events. Was Tony Stark in Empire? Yes. Was Tony Stark in Iron Man 2020? Yes. Was Tony Stark featured in Axe Judgment Day? Yes. Is Tony Stark going to be featured in the next thing? Yes. Absolute Carnage, Devil's Reign. Do you see how constant Tony Stark is and how important he is to these crossover events? That's what it looks like to matter. That's that. Black Panther and Storm, they're knocking on that door because at least they're in the group shots, okay? There's a couple characters that they remember to use here and there. But what if they had the Wakandan issue? Oh, what's going to happen? The world is almost over. Yeah, thank God we got Wakanda. Can you imagine if we had comic books like that? Why would they do that if the comic isn't selling? Buy Black Panther. Black Panther has over 200 issues. There's no other character with melanated skin in Marvel Comics who's got 200 issues. And if you include Jungle Action, it's even more. This guy matters. He's the best utilization of your dollar. So if you ever go into a comic shop thinking, you know, that, what's his name? Nightwing? What's his name? Not Nightwing. Night Thrasher. You know, I forgot his name. That's how useless he is. You know that new Rockstar's Night Thrasher guy? I think I'm going to give some money towards him. Save your money. I'll show it again. These are the sales units. This is how it's likely going to perform. If all things are the same, if it's a lackluster creative team, no story or builds towards the character, just kind of launching a series, don't expect this Night Thrasher thing to do something. Instead, since you care about representation in your dollars, Save your money. Don't give that money there, and put $4 into a Black Panther. And if that message can start if that message can start gaining, then what will happen is that the comics, they won't be getting canceled at issue number 10. 2 trade paperbacks. The way that comic books are sold is in the trades. People write for the trades. So that means that they'll collect 5 comic book issues and put it in a book with a bind. This is an Image comic, but it's the same thing. Philadelphia was collected in these trade paperbacks. It says in the back, collecting issue number 1 to 6. You see, you can see it right there. Collects issues 1 to 6. Eisner were nominated series Philadelphia, and it sold well, and the comic book floppies warranted another one. Well, when the floppies did, they did another trade paperback, and then they did another trade paperback, and then another trade paperback, and this is the fifth trade paperback. And when the 6th one comes out with all the issues, then the trade audience is going to collect them, and they're going to continue, and that matters too. But the floppies dictate whether a trade goes. Never trust trade sales. No one ever asks, yeah, but I bet it sold well in trades, because the floppies, the individual single issues, that's what a floppy is. Because you guys are ignorant, I forgot. the single issues, the cancellation will be made based on single issues before the trades ever come in. Especially for like a comic that gets sold at issue number 12, they're not relying on trade paperbacks. Oh, let's see if the trade sells well. If we're actually like on issue freaking 30, like Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan, when she was getting higher and higher, her sales were low, but they knew the trades were selling well. They also said that the digital sales were selling well too. To be honest, digital sales, there's no metric because that's kept within house. Marvel they don't have to report to anyone but themselves. They get all $4. They don't share any of it with the shipping costs, the cost that goes to your store. Now, they also don't get comic book advertisements in their digital comics, but if the comic book sales are high for a digital comic, with like Ms. Marvel, which is a younger audience, you can see how that would happen. Then that's why they kept going, even though the sales were terrible for that issue coming towards. I'll show you before I tell you. Here I'm using the comic channel Comics by Perch, and he's mapping out all of the sales of the first go around of this comic book. Look at how good it was in the 30,000s, and then in volume 2 of Kamala Khan, it dipped down to that cancellation territory, and then in volume 3, and then you can see volume 3, which got all the way to cancellation territory, but at least the sales of the trade paperbacks were being considered when they kept going and going and going and going. Nick Fury, the 2017 series, issue number 6 of that Nick Fury, and it sold what it sold. Shuri, off the success of the movie, issue number 10 is where it was ended at. This ongoing series did not continue for another 5 issues for another trade paperback. They decided we'd be losing money if we did that. No more Black Panther-less Black Panther characters. Here's Ironheart, issue number 9. And when I say that, Black Panther-less Black Panther characters, that's what they think. That's what they seen. That's what you showed them with your sales. Here's Ironheart. It came out that same year, and this was also canceled. If just one of these 2 series, if the fans got behind one and said, let's not do the other, we might have an ongoing continued success. Every Wednesday is an election. And we could have voted with our dollars to have a candidate make it. And instead, the dollars are split. Champions, all the diversity, all these teams, right? You would have thought all those fan bases would have came here. Didn't matter. It didn't matter. Issue number 10 was how it performed. Look around. They really like that. Their best work is a light pack. Nigga, bum! The message that you should buy 2 issues of Storm, especially 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, when they're pondering cancellation. That message isn't a message of continuing the character. We get a chance every single month to vote with our dollars. And we can vote twice. I'm telling you, save your money and pick Storm and save on the other things. But you want to give Marvel your money anyways and buy 2 Storms? I'm all for it. Buy 2 Storms. But we have the ability to gerrymander the district and make it so that this one succeeds for real. And we already know how highly they think of Storm compared to how highly they think of Shuri, Ironheart, Nick Fury, the Dark One. I don't expect them to use Blue Marvel all of a sudden. The sales never warranted it. And the last few years told us what they think of him. How about Monica Rambeau Photon? Well, we had a chance to show she's a solo leading character, and they didn't sell well. Don't blame me, I bought multiple issues. But what do we expect from this character other than cameo team appearances? Storm has the chance. She's the best candidate. I'm not fighting for representation over here to get the 63rd comic book character, hottest comic book mutant, Oya, up until level 43. Oh my god, that's 20 spots. Bull. I believe the enemy of representation is quantity. Acting like, oh, well, we're doing a whole lot of work down here. Well, the top tier is what the top tier is. Spider-Man and Wolverine and Hulk and Thor and Captain America and Reed Richards and Iron Man and even Venom now. These are these hot characters who are constants. Daredevil sells well. He's got good creative staff too. Daredevil always sells well. There's just this ilk of comic book characters, and I'm not trying to fight over the top, let's say the guys who are top 40, but they're not top 20. The guys who are right there. What are we doing here? What are we doing at this level? Storm and Black Panther are going to influence the top. You want to enact the benefits of representation? You want it to kick in? You do it with the best candidates. Acting like, because it's $4 whether you pay for these top two or whether you're paying for these guys down here, these bums down here. Utilize your money to the best possible way. Sales matter. Sales, like units sold in the North American market, which there's 21. I'll put it on screen here. There's how many shops that there are, or there were back then when this came out in 2019. If we can sell enough units, and if we, the audience, me and my audience, the 700 people who watched that last video, if all of us go, you know what? Yeah, let's just double up our money. And next time they try to sell me on a Black Panther or on a Black History Month comic book, when they try to do that in February, you know what? I'm going to save my money because this is the 5th Black History Month February Marvel's voices that they've did, and they don't really use the characters at all. None of this is consequential. I'm going to save my money on that, use the same amount of money on buying an extra Storm. That's what I'll do instead. Then I'm for that, if we can do that. Or buy the bums. Spend all the money you want to spend on the bums. Buy 2 issues of Storm. 3 issues of Storm. Monitor sales using ICV2 or Comic Book Revolution. Monitor where this comic book character is. Get those variant covers. The way that the character is a proven success is your dollars and nothing else. Storm and Black Panther are Marvel's only 2 black characters.